Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 65.
Right?
Thank you. See, I used to do that for Walton. Of April Podcast with Chill Boys, Carlos and Respass. Carlos, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm reporting live from Wednesday night at the Liacouras Center, as you can tell here. It's the first time we're ever recording live outside. Don't mind the weird artifacting of me grabbing a beer. Totally live outside in North Philly at 11:30 on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh. There you go.
Actually, that was kind of normal for me back in the day. Now
so in case you couldn't tell by the episode's title and by your background, that we are going to talk about the 2-year anniversary of AEW. In case everybody did not have enough of our AEW gasming of the last episode, let's just get more into how amazing it is. We were obviously there, which was awesome because actually when Apronwork took its hiatus of, was it 2 years, whatever the hell it was, it was about when AEW started, and we were at not only the first episode of Dynamite, we were also both at the third one.
Yep.
So you were not here to talk about either one of them, and I got to talk about it with Walton, who was also not at the first episode. So because he had better things to do instead of, I think he was actually on a cruise.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I could say that now. He didn't want me to tell people that because he didn't want to be robbed. But he moved out of Philly, so I don't think he worries anymore that 2 years ago somebody may rob him. Okay. All right.
Thinks he's too good for Philly at 11:30, reporting live outside for the Liacouras Center.
I'm too good for Philly too.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, I can't wait to leave.
It's amazing. It's amazing to live out of Philly. You could say you're from Philly, and then when people complain, you say, "I've lived there for 30-some years."
Yeah, I did my time. It's like jail.
Exactly. So really, there's no rhyme or reason to this episode, so we're going to be all over the place. But I will say, how was the 2-year anniversary, Carlos? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good, man. We had a good group. We had with Jeremy, we had Dom, you, me, and then we had a new listener. Shout out to you. I totally forgot your name. I have it here. We talked all night. He was a very, very nice gentleman. He
his Twitter handle is Denny, or is that just the name that shows
Danny,
up?
Yeah, Danny. Yeah, it's Danny.
Okay.
Yeah, but
it shows up Danny.
Danny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gonna be like, don't use my government name. Oh shit, sorry, Danny.
I sat on the other side of him.
Yes.
Because I see, that's what happens when you're the one that buys the tickets. You get to choose to have the aisle seat. So I got legroom as opposed to meeting our new listener. So if you're listening now, you're welcome. I wish I got to meet you, but legroom was more important.
And it wasn't like a lull period, which is good for AEW. There was no lull period to be like, hey, let's take a photo with the whole group and stuff. Like me and him took a photo, which you can find on my Twitter. Yeah. I think he tagged us as well, Apronwork.
Right.
You can find that on our Twitter, but it was just funny. Like it was like, man, this show's popping. Like we have no time to like really kind of like we interact in the sense that we love wrestling and we're going to talk about wrestling. But yeah, Danny, he's 10 minutes away. We had a ticket. He answered the call on Twitter. He was the second person because the first person couldn't make it in that short amount of time. But yeah, he answered the call. It was cool. It was awesome to hang out with. So shout out to you, Danny. Again, man, hope to see you at a different show down the line.
See, for those of you out there, this is not the first time we gave away a ticket to an AEW show. That's actually how Carlos got to the very first show. So if you listen to us and you follow us, you may get free AEW tickets because
you never know.
Walton just never shows up to anything. He just pays for the tickets, doesn't show up, and then we just have them. So, it's now 2 of the 3 events we've given away tickets. So I'm just, it'll never happen again now. Now people will be just literally following us for
Just, like,
tickets and
Laser
never.
focus. Yeah. Laser
Like
focus.
it's been to Philly 3 more times. He's giving away tickets. You lied to me.
I don't know what to tell you. Walton actually shows up for everything now.
I will say you're right about that. I mean, Jared can attest that he kept trying to go get food and shirts and came back with nothing 12 times. It was amazing. Well, awful for me because he was supposed to get me a soda every time. Never showed up with one.
I know he went to go get me a beer one time. I was like, "Yeah, can you give me a beer?" He came back, was like, rah, rah, rah. To be fair, like the closest like just straight alcohol stand in the Liacouras Center is like cash only. Like it's COVID though. Like
yeah, that was well, the worst part is we would have been in our seats earlier, but Dom, who said he hasn't listened to the last couple episodes, so you better be listening to this at some point. He stood in line with us. We were in the beer line.
Oh my
thinking
God.
we're all going to use cards because you went to get food, I think. Right? Oh, no, all
starved.
4 of us were in line. We were all in line for a beer.
I was going to get a beer for. Actually, I wanted to get the what do they call the All Elite whiskey. I was going to get that, and I was like, oh, then I'll get food.
Yeah, I was chicken. I was chickening out. I was sticking with Miller. I'm not creative at all, but we all were going to use cards, so we thought. They told Jared no cards, but there's an ATM over there. So we all walk away, and Dom follows with cash in his hand.
I love it. And
I turn around to him.
Like, I have this much.
And he has it out in his hand. Yeah, literally just holding it out. And he's like, "What are we doing?" And I said, "They said cash only." And he said, "I got cash." I said, "All right, cool." And he said, "I can cover everybody." I said, "All right." So he turned around. The line kept moving. Apparently, they weren't okay with Dom just walking out of line. So then,
a long ass line. Hell
yeah, and the line got way longer from the point that we got up there.
Every line was ridiculous. I went to the smallest line. I went for hot dogs. And I was like, all right, this can't be that much. And literally, it like was not moving. Like I was telling you guys were like, hey, where you at? I was like, again, hot dogs. I thought this line would be short. Because the Chickies line is like right next to me, and that was long as hell. Like there's one dude, I don't even know. He had a kid that like dressed up like Darby Allin, which is really cute. He bumped into me, like, "Hey, watch it, Darby. You got a match later." Kid's eyes like lit up. It was so cute. But he, the dad like looked at his like wife and he was like, "Yo, you take the other kid, get in the Chickies line. I'll tell you what, you get half the food. I get to have food here." But like. In our line, people were getting like so much food. So it was a short line, but they were like, all right, I'm gonna make the most out of my time in this line. I'm like, dude, I want to pay overpriced hot dogs and overpriced beer. That's all I want. I want like 4 things and I want to get out. And it was impossible. It was so long. The merchandise line was crazy too. Don't get me wrong. And then if you had a free book, you got to take a photo with Cody Rhodes.
I'm upset about that because
I thought it was only at the library. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I seen they posted about it, but they mentioned like some block party on a Saturday or something like that, and bring it out and all that other stuff. So I'm like, all right, because I would have brought a book. I mean, I'm not like the hugest Cody fan, but if I know I could just walk in, hand him a book, and get a picture with him,
photo,
yeah. I mean, that's something you're spending $30 on at least. And honestly, that line was not as long as I thought it would have been, at least when we got in there.
Yeah. It looked crazy at first. I thought that was a merch line at first.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is for Cody. I was like, oh, well, that kind of seems a little better. There's just no gap. Like,
I mean, but it seemed like it was moving kind of quick because you literally just hand him a book, take a picture with him, move on. So it was like, all right,
say hi and peace out.
Yeah. So
they kept it moving.
I was a little disappointed with that. I will say, Liacouras Center and the 2 times I've been there has shown that they are not equipped for wrestling fans.
I don't think they are, man.
I love the venue.
Well, it's there's not a bad seat. Like I feel like even like the high up seats, like we had decent seats. I feel like still you get to see everything pretty well. I think we weren't Lucaras out there. Lucaras just God damn it. just right there, constantly on TV. Penta getting thrown in his face. Opening minutes of Rampage, whatever, man.
For those of you who watched the episode and does not know who he's talking about, since I seen this posted all over Twitter, even people who did not know him, the two guys with the belts, and the one that actually, I don't know if you've seen it at all, got a lot of people talking, was the wing, the eagle, the winged eagle.
I believe that's
belt.
His best man. I'm not just saying I didn't get an invite to the wedding. Anyway,
that's why you were sitting all the way up there with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was like, "We're close, but not that close." Man. Yeah, if you saw like a very large Filipino gentleman on the corner left stage, I guess that near the timekeeper stuff. That was one of my really good friends from high school.
Yeah, he had the AEW. That was the oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I actually bought that straight up. It was like $900. Because he texted me when he bought it. I was like, "Oh, I hate you." But it was cool. Yeah, he texted me earlier in the week. He's like, "Hey, man, watch out for me in the front." I was like, "I'm gonna be there too, man." He's like, "Where are you sitting?" I told him. He's like, "Oh, well, I won't see you." I was like, "Man, whatever."
Yeah.
But he showed up constantly all night. So that's shout out to him. He had really good seats.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. It was a really good night. They're not really equipped for so many of us.
No, it was see, last year, well, I guess 2 years now, the first time we were there, we showed up about ring time, and we went in, grabbed beers, and ran right to our seats, and I think we got to the very beginning of it. So this time around, I'm like, all right, let's get there early. We have to Uber early. We're going to be stuck in traffic. And we kind of were. We got out of the Uber and walked. And we stood in line for what, 20 minutes, I'd say?
Maybe. Not too long.
I mean, but the line was way longer than I felt like it should have been for a venue that opened at 6. And now it's like creeping up on 6:45. And I
don't remember what time I went last time. But I was in a similar, I literally was in the same line. And it was that side too of the Liacouras Center. And it was about the same time I feel like I waited to get in. But I felt like everything was a little more better managed. And that show was completely sold out. The third episode. Like our episode, I feel was, what's a good estimate? You think like 75% capacity?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, depending on what was open for the show.
I feel like Hardcam's side was like a little bare.
Yeah,
that's where
it was.
That 25% what I would say came from of like vacancy, but everything else I felt like it was packed pretty well.
Yeah.
And as you get down to like Rampage time, spoilers, it was taped. It's like we were tired.
Yeah.
It's surprising when something so energetic. There's 3 hours like that third hour. Yeah, I felt drained. Well, Dom was definitely drained.
Well, that was the 4th hour.
Oh, right. Yeah, if you think about it, because we had elevation as well.
I mean, I know we
were getting food and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were technically, at least from the moment I was sitting down, because anybody who knows me will know any event I go to, I get my food and my drink at the beginning, and I don't fucking move again from the rest of the show. I don't care. I did not eat or drink anything. I had 2 beers at the beginning, did not eat or drink anything the whole rest of the night because Jared never got me my soda. But that's usually what Walton's good for, and that's usually what a women's match is good for. And Jared tried leaving for a women's match only to find out it was a TNT title match, and we did not time that out very well. See, AEW does not follow the WWE way of matches where you kind of have a good idea of what's coming next, which is, in a way is a good thing unless you're going to stand in a beer line, and it's not a good thing.
You know what they gotta get better though is that CCTV, man. Like, there's not too many of the TVs accessible, and then as well, like, cause that makes it a little easier if you're gonna walk away, as long as they have the closed TV like circuit going through. Because I was able to watch like for Elevation, I guess it would be tomorrow's episode. It was a Ruby Soho. Like I got to see her match. And entirely, and the end of Proud and Powerful's match as well. Okay. So like I saw basically all the Elevation in line, but not all those TVs were working. That was the shitty thing. Like the one behind, so I kept like cranking my neck back, and then the line would move forward. Someone would tap me like, "Yo, keep moving. I'm like, oh, fine, move forward. Like I call it a Ty Conti match and everything, but it was like there was like the one directly at the hot dog stand or the hot dog section was just off for whatever reason. So get your shit together, Liacouras Center.
Well, that's what, when we were in the beer line, they had a video board that had the prices, and I was like, couldn't you be showing what's going on this board? Yeah, just print it out and let us see what's going on, because from that location, at least where when we first walked in, there was nowhere to watch if you were standing in that beer line, and that sucked because again, I don't like missing anything. I'm never on time for anything. Most people will attest to if I'm 10 minutes late, I'm early. So for me to be like, let's get there early and then have to stay in the line and then have to stay in the beer line twice before getting a beer because Dom couldn't just grab a beer and I'll say, hey, Dom, give us cash.
We got you.
Yeah. But now, I mean, I thankfully got to sit down around the Joey Janela crowbar match.
Yeah,
which I thought was
special,
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, crowbar did not get the a lot of people were like, wait, is that crowbar like WCW crowbar? And I don't think they emphasized it enough to the live crowd because I think a lot of people were like, nah.
No,
it must be a different crowbar.
Yeah, the live crowd did not. I feel like we did because I definitely was like behind.
Yeah.
I was like, I accidentally cursed in front of the kids. As like kid dressed up as Darby, I was like, oh, holy shit. And then like the dad kind of shot me a dirty look and was like, wait, is that crowbar? I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying this. It was emphasized on what's it, Wrestle Inc. I follow WrestleInc.com.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, crowbar showed up at Elevation. Whoa, spoilers. I don't know when Elevation shows, but yeah, they showed that, and that was like kind of one of their weird headlines. And then Meanie, friend.
Well, yeah, Meanie. I was excited for that. He retweeted me during Dynamite, so that was nice. But I guess other than the experience, like I said, it sucks because the Liacouras Center is nice. It hits everything I want from a stadium. Like I even the seats are comfortable.
Yeah.
And I know Jared was saying that we were up top because usually I like to sit on the end because I'm used to the Wachovia Center. That
tight.
I mean, I've sat in lower seats and they're not as tight, but they get tighter the higher up you go. And sometimes you can't even sit in those seats. Like you just can't even sit down. So to actually have a comfortable seat is nice. To sit, basically, we were like 5 rows from the back, and still feel like you're right on top of the action is nice. I just feel like they need to hire more employees.
Yeah.
Or something, you know what?
I didn't even think about that. It could be a COVID thing. I mean,
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
Now the frustrating thing as a consumer of like we were trying to get food and stuff. The only annoying thing, and it could happen. Many of us have worked customer service. Is that their card reader was down, so I didn't know like what kind of system they were using. But like to get merch, they had like a wireless POS system, so they had like a wireless card reader, everything like that. I was able to buy the shirt, the CM Punk shirt that I'm wearing, and I had no issues. Like I was like, I got in line, got to there, I was like, yeah, can I get this? I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to get cash because it's right there. Like merchandise, as soon as you walk in, it's right in the center, and then the alcohol cart that we went to was all like literally right to the right, like the first pillar. So about like 6 feet, maybe 10 feet away. And I was like, oh, this is probably gonna be a problem. Like, yeah, no problem. Here. I can take your card. I'm like, so what system are you guys using? That's the interesting thing.
Yeah. But as far as location goes, I like it. Like you said, I guess it probably had a lot to do with employees and COVID and all that stuff. I try not to think about that part of it. Even the entering in, I felt like at one point, like the person working when we were trying to get in, right as me and you start to walk in, she like, hold on, wait, and then trying to get somebody to cover, and I'm like, can't you, while you're waiting for somebody to come over, continue to let us walk in?
Yeah, just
like,
at least
why,
one of us. Like,
why
I
did,
got
yeah.
you. The next one, I'll call this person over, finish with you, and then I'll take the next guy.
And that was a little bit my fault because I ran over to the other. I was like, all right, I'm going to this line instead of waiting behind Jared and Dom, and then she had to have a shift break in the middle of us trying to get into the stadium. But
thousands of people trying to get into.
Well, thankfully we didn't follow Jer, and I'll say that from the beginning. We walked at the end of the line, and there's a gap, and then there's a student entrance, and Jer just kept walking. Really, and I'm yelling his name over and over again. He's like, the line's down here. And I said, that's the student center. And then I showed him where the gap was, but if it was up to Jared, we would have been in the student center, not getting into a second line. But
I don't have that idea anymore. And if I did, it's probably faded. It's all white.
As far as the whole night went, I love the way they put on the shows. If we were sitting in our seat at 7:00, let's say in a non-COVID world, we get in there, we get our food, we get sitting down, and we're there at 7:00. You get to see most of the roster, which is nice. Yeah. I like how they do it. They do they record Dark Elevation for the first hour, then Dynamite Live, and then Rampage at the end. That is if they're not doing Rampage live, and I'm fairly certain that if they were doing Rampage live, we would have only gotten 3 hours, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have been Dark Elevation.
Because I think they record Dark when they do Rampage live. I think.
Yeah, because it's like a special episode of Dark, right? I think we're both thinking the same thing, like with the United Center. You know what I mean? What debuting? Because I think that hour was live.
Yeah, like, and I think they record for an hour when they do that, and they're new now at Universal Studios. They won't do that. They only record whenever they're doing Rampage on Wednesday. Regardless, we got 4 hours. It was nice. Yeah. I felt like even though we didn't get to see everybody, it was nice to know that we could have seen Ty Conti wrestle. Well, you did. I didn't get to see her wrestle. I didn't get to see Proud and Powerful. I did get to see Joey Janela and Crowbar wrestle.
And Blue Meanie.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
And Ruby Ruby Soho.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a really neat thing. There was definitely a couple women in the Chicky and Pete's line and my hot dog line. They were like, "Oh, we missed it." Yeah, they were legit bummed. I was like, "That's really cool, man." I can
never remember the person she fought's name. Oh man,
it's someone on.
I'm drawing a blank. She's the one that comes out. She used to come out with the mustache, and she comes out the microphone. She was like Sheeta's mentor or whatever.
Oh,
how's her name?
Emi Sakura.
Yeah. I cannot. Sakura. I couldn't even think. I'm like, I keep wanting to say Sheeta. I'm like, no, it's not Sheeta.
Yeah.
They wrestled. That was a good match.
Yeah. That was another bummer too. I was like, oh wow, this is actually going to be a really good match. Like, this is not going to be a squash. Like, this is going to be short, but like good.
Because I think that was the last match on Elevation, right? Before we got our 10 minutes of entrance.
I think that or the Pinnacle, right? Because I know the Pinnacle actually wrestled, but I'm not sure. I look up Elevation.
I don't remember seeing them wrestle, so that must have happened when we were.
Yeah, I can't.
I don't know. That. Okay, well, regardless, we missed most of it and we don't remember it clearly. Yeah. But as far as, and I know it was a 2-year anniversary, so they're pushing more, and we got lucky that we're there for it. But I mean, everybody we got to see on Dynamite, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, to get to know that we got 2 years after what we seen. I'm fumbling on my words here. To think what we seen 2 years ago, and I'll say what we seen 2 years ago in Philly on Dynamite. To think that main event was Darby Allin Jericho for the title in a street fight. and that's how we ended the night, I believe. With that,
yeah, because at one point when Darby's like handcuffed,
and that show was good. That was the tag team tournament, I believe, started it. That was when
SCU probably wrestled, right?
Yeah, we ended up getting was that the best friends? I think he gets SCU. I want to say
that sounds right. That definitely sounds right because with
that was
I'm sure Chucky T came out.
Yeah, because they he took off. Yeah, I think he came out in a Sixers jersey. I feel like every time he's in Philly, he comes out in Sixers jersey.
It's like 15 minutes away.
Yeah. If I remember right, they took off. Oh, that's what it was. Lucha Bros beat down Christopher Daniels when they were coming down to the ring.
Yeah.
So then Scorpio Sky wrestled in street clothes. And
right.
Chucky T took off his shoes, I want to say.
Yeah, it fell off.
Because if I remember correctly, and I tried not to curse too much on here, I feel like I remember a "you sick fuck" chant when they took off his shoe. Yeah. And then he took off his other shoe at one point. But then SCU ended up winning, and they ended up winning titles in the thing. But all right, I'm getting off the point there. I'm going to start recapping what we seen 2 years ago.
Which I'm like looking up.
Basically, we go from that to starting off watching Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and hell, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Christian, Luchasaurus, who I believe missed like the first month or so of AEW because he was supposed to wrestle on the first show and he was hurt. And it was either first show or in Philly, I forget, but Jurassic Express ended up being Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt because they announced like right before the show that Luchasaurus wasn't wrestling.
He got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt.
So I'm pretty sure I didn't get to see him wrestle live, if I remember right.
Until now, right?
Until now. So now you have that. I think I did get to see Jungle Boy because he wrestled with Stunt, but like none of the like I didn't get to see any of those guys really wrestle. Kenny Omega wrestled for about 10 seconds until John Moxley ran at him.
That's right.
But that was in DC. As far as Philly goes, Omega didn't wrestle. Young Bucks, I don't think even wrestled in Philly. But you go down the list and just think that's how we start the show, is those 8.
And it was great. It was actually, you know, these multi-man tags, we talked about how good AEW does it. And it's true. They really do it really well. But like as well, managing that many people and making sure they get enough time. And that was a lengthy match. That was a very lengthy match, but it was it was paced very well, I would say. Yeah. Because everyone got their shit in. Luchasaurus was the damn MVP of that match. I thought it was gonna be Jungle Boy, honestly, and he had it for most of it, but Luchasaurus got tagged in. That was amazing. That was great. You know what? I can't even think. I don't know if I've ever seen Bryan Danielson wrestle live. This might be my first one. Or Christian. I you know what? That has to be wrong. I definitely probably saw Christian. I just probably didn't appreciate him at the time, like I do now.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I've never seen Adam Cole. Oh no, that's a lie too. Damn it. I did. I have seen. I was always with the Kingdom. I literally was talking about that.
Have you ever seen them all wrestle in the same match?
No.
Well, there you go.
The first time for that. There you
go. Yeah. I mean, just all that. I'm thinking like even before AEW, I used to watch Young Bucks that like wrestled 10 feet in front of me. Yeah. So it's just crazy just to see them all on that same, just in that same match. And that's not even the main event. The main event is a ladder match with a bunch of guys that you never thought you'd see in the same match too. But it's just it's crazy to think where they came, that their opening match, and I love that AEW does that their main events are their opening match and their ending match, and it's not a pay-per-view. They do it every week. They do it every week. Every Rampage, every Dynamite is started with a banger, it ends with a banger, and it just does. And you don't have a half an hour worth of a guy coming out and talking about what happened last week. I'm not talking. I'm not naming names. WWE.
Yeah, Raw.
That you know that when you're watching Raw, Paul Heyman's coming. I mean, this dates on when I've actually last watched Raw. Paul Heyman comes out with Brock Lesnar and talks for half an hour while somebody interrupts them, and then we go to a commercial, and then they replay what Paul Heyman just said for 10 minutes, explaining what you just missed in the first half hour. Before you know it, we haven't seen a match yet.
This is very funny you're bringing this up because I swear to God, like a few hours ago, read a tweet criticizing this past Friday SmackDown because I don't know if you heard this, they're doing King of the Ring again, so you're doing a qualifying tournament, and now they're doing Queen of the Crown, which is cool. That's a long time coming. They should have a tournament as well. I love King of the Ring, at least the concept of it. It hasn't been executed properly in like forever.
No.
But so they had 4 qualifying matches, like first round matches. And so they had 2 women's matches. It was like Zelina Vega versus Toni Storm. I think that lasted a minute and a half. And then I believe the other match was Carmella versus God, I don't even know who she wrestled, but
it was Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan. Yeah, there we go. Carmella and Zelina moved on to the next round of the Queen of the Crown tournament. But like the time wise, I think it equaled up maybe 4 minutes. Both matches. Someone reported it was like Roman Reigns' entrance was at least 3 minutes. Just walking down, doing the whole bloodline thing, posing. And listen, that's his shtick now. That's fine. That's okay. But they should get a little more time too.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Roman on this one. There's someone in WWE is like, of course, Rome is more important. He's like, how much do you want me to do? How long do you want me to pose? All right, yeah, whatever. Cool.
But that's what like we walked into Dynamite, and I just show you that the complete different mindset that you have for these shows. We walked into Dynamite, and well, you had seen on Twitter they announced another match, but
yeah,
previous to that, I guess in the Uber ride to Dynamite, we thought in a 2-hour show that there was 4 matches happening. And we did not think that we were getting a 7-hour-long interview with somebody. Like, it was legitimate. Like, oh, okay, 4 matches. Oh, they're going to give 20 minutes each one of these matches. That's awesome. Like, this is cool. You know, you might get a half an hour and a ladder match. That's great. And then you got another match out. It's like, okay, but you don't go into it thinking, like, this is a squash match. The only time out of the whole show that I thought this is a squash match, and I think I said it to you guys, when they announced what Rampage's card was going to be, and there was 4 matches, and I said they've never done 4 matches in an hour Rampage. It's always been 3. I guarantee you, Jade Cargill goes over very quickly, and that's what turned out to happen. Which, again, I like what they're doing with that too, because Rampage has almost become the CM Punk Jade Cargill show.
Yeah, if you think
which
about it.
I ain't hating, because it's given Cargill that hey, look, she's a beast, and she just beats whoever. And
she needs not necessarily seasoning. She's got it physically and everything. She does need more mic time for herself, because Mark Sterling's not going to be with her for forever, and she.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, I take that back, because you never know. Some people have it, like Bobby Lashley has it in the ring, not necessarily the microphone, but he's got MVP. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like from what I've heard from her,
it's not bad.
She can. I think it's a little too much of trying to get the I'm that bitch.
Yeah.
Like, you almost feel like she's trying to force that into it a little bit.
And that's where I would say her, quote unquote, green is literally there. Everything else, I think she's phenomenal. She's definitely going to be like world champ. Possibly, we'll talk about it soon. The TBS champ. Who knows? Yeah.
I mean, I felt like that was a way to give Ruby Soho a title without taking it off of Britt Baker, who will eventually lose it to Thunder Rosa, and that's
here first.
Yeah, I have thought that from the beginning, and I'm still standing to it, and it makes a whole lot of sense, because it's kind of like the Hangman Omega thing.
Yeah, you know what's weird?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this criticism on online that night. It was like, oh, Tony Khan has a special announcement, and then he wasn't there to introduce the TBS title. And I saw a lot of criticism online. It's like, well, he wasn't there. He wasn't this. I was like, no, he was there. We saw him.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know why he didn't come out. That was strange, I guess, but he's not the best on the mic, so it might be better having Tony introduce the title and be like, on behalf of Tony Khan.
Yeah. Now I think you could have done a better way of promoting that than, I mean,
like a special announcement from the desk of Tony Khan.
Like, there's going to be a special announcement tonight. It doesn't even have to say from Tony Khan. It's just there's going to be a special announcement.
Our dark, quote unquote dark match thing that happened after everything filmed has been posted on their official YouTube.
Yeah.
So you can see he was there in Philly and looking like he's talking a mile a minute because he's a fanboy like us.
Okay, I'm going to run down what we've seen a little bit before I get too far off. We'll get back to Jade Cargill when we get to that match. But so we've seen the first match. I think you missed the TNT title match. I forget who wasn't sitting there.
Dom missed it.
Okay.
Which was Dom and Jerry. They both missed it, which was hilarious because they came back and Dom was like, "Oh yeah, so we got a TNT title match." I'm like, "Bro, you missed it." Like,
I think
did not hear us screaming Fozzy.
The assumption was a women's match or the filler right after the 8-man, but nope, they came out of swinging and they gave us Sammy Guevara, and Bobby Fish, and I may get criticism. I didn't like it. I personally didn't like it.
It wasn't Bobby Fish's best showing.
I think that was my problem with the match.
Because I'm a fan of Bobby Fish. I love him, and not just NXT. Like I saw him in ROH and New Japan stuff.
See, and I've always I liked him and O'Reilly as a tag team. I felt like, and maybe I'm wrong in this, I felt like he wrestled a very tag teamy match by himself, and it was just weird because I felt like there was no real big spots. He didn't stand out. He didn't stand out as a competitor. If I had never seen him wrestle before, he looked very generic in that match with Sammy.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I think he had one big spot near the end, but like 3 times he tried to pin him on like a swinging neck breaker or like a DDT. Like I felt like it was just very generic.
Yeah. You know what? I bet you this Friday will be the match that kind of sells people on Bobby Fish, and especially now that he signed like a full-term contract, because it's him and Bryan Danielson. Something I've dreamed about in my head, because I truly am like a Bobby Fish fan. Like I'm really excited about him being in AEW. I think it's very exciting to see him like debut for that. But you're right. Like the match wasn't necessarily like his best showing. Like I've seen him wrestle at the Worlds Collide thing I was telling you about, ROH and New Japan. He wrestled Jay Briscoe, who was at the time the longest reigning world champ, and that was awesome. Like that legit was like a brawler / technical match. It was really well done and really well paced. That's kind of what sold me on him, because I've seen his New Japan stuff previously with him and O'Reilly, and seeing him like by himself. I was like, oh, he's also a really good singles competitor as well, not just tag.
Yeah.
But this was, you're right. It's not the best showing.
That's like
horrible, just not best.
Yeah, and I mean, Guevara has his own style, and maybe it just didn't mesh well. But I just think like it didn't come off technical. It just came off generic. And then by the time the big moves came, I didn't care. Mm-hmm. And again, like you said, I think, because I think the way he wrestles fits a little bit more with Bryan Danielson's style, I think you'll get better Bobby Fish out of that match. It just, I don't know. And it could be just a placement on the card. It could have been just because it was right after the 8-man tag. And then everything that happened after the match stood out so much that I feel like the match itself was too plain for a guy who's going to sign with you.
Yeah, and it was strange too because like having Sammy win the TNT title the week prior, and then like doing like the after show, but like, oh, who's gonna challenge me? And Bobby Fish straight up just tweeting him. I was like, wait, whoa, is this happening? And then just the graphic comes up like, oh, it's official, it's happening next week. It's like, oh God, we're getting that in Philly. That's crazy. And then like, yeah, you're right. The match didn't necessarily. It wasn't the worst match ever. Like there was no bad match in those 3 hours that we got to sit down and see, but
right.
It was still not on par of what you would expect from either of them. Honestly, like
I don't think Guevara had his best match either, and I think that's what it was. It was underwhelming from my expectations of the match, I guess, which I guess says a lot about both of those guys that I expected a lot more out of it. Again, I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure there are people out there that liked it. I felt like it could have been better. It just sucked to see Bobby Fish's first match officially with AEW kind of be that.
And you're right. Like the hype that happened afterwards too.
Yeah.
Like American Top Team and Ethan Page and Scorpio coming out. Like that just encompassed, like overcame everything that we saw previously.
And I think my brother was watching from home during it, and we were kind of texting back and forth. And he was like, did they have issues with the mic? And I said, no, you just couldn't hear them. I said, dude, it was loud. It was really loud. I don't think I could have heard Jer talk to me if he was sitting next to me. That's how loud it was. It was. I love Dan Lambert.
That's where I lost my voice. Honestly, that's where I lost my voice.
I love Dan Lambert. I think he's absolutely. We talked about it in the line where I think Dom had brought up about the possibility of Jim Cornette coming, and I said they got Jim Cornette. Dan Lambert says everything that Jim Cornette says, and I think it's intentional, but he's got that Vicky Guerrero heat. Yeah. He's got that, I don't care if they're booing him because he's annoying and he's not a wrestling guy or whatever, but I mean, he's got it, and it works absolutely well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really does.
And for a long feud that, at no fault of the participants, but a long feud that made me care less and less about the Inner Circle, to have that type of heat against them, I guess, especially Jericho, is nice because Swagger. Oh my God! I just call him Swagger. Hager. He's so lost on that roster right now that him fighting legit actual MMA guys might be the best thing for him.
Yeah, that's and that match is Saturday, correct?
Yeah, the special Saturday Dynamite. Is it a 3-on-3? I didn't see.
No, you know what? You're right.
Because they said Men of the Year and Junior Dos Santos against the Inner Circle, which I'm going to assume is Hager, Jericho, and Guevara.
They're not proud and powerful.
Well, I assumed they were leading the 4-on-4 with Fuego. A part of it too.
Fuego comes in. Not the other two guys who were there from day one.
Again, that's that long feud that was essentially. I don't think it needed the groups in it, and it convoluted the whole thing. And in all honesty, Jericho did not need to go over in the end.
No,
that's a story for its own self. But again, I mean, regardless, I don't want to take too much time about all that. But either way, that was loud. It was loud as shit. I could not hear Dan Lambert, and then Jericho couldn't talk on his mic. I had to get a new one, so it made it look like Dan Lambert's. No. You could hear that Dan Lambert was talking. Yep. Like you could hear it in the stadium that he was talking, but the crowd was just louder than him, and it was amazing, and it was a wonderful feeling because Philly crowds are the best, and that was louder than CM Punk's reaction in Chicago, was them telling Dan Lambert to get the fuck out. It was amazing. So
their chant got edited for Rampage.
We will get
We'll
there,
get on that
and that'll be 20 minutes of me complaining. So get prepared for that. So from there, they announced CM Punk's coming. We go to commercial.
Honestly, yeah. I
So-
mean, no offense. I was just like, I was fine with not expecting it because like we had Danielson. I hoped that we would see him.
Well, they had announced that he was going to make an appearance.
Oh, see, I didn't see that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that was a hope and a prayer for me.
Well, they announced he was making an appearance, and I guess I was hopeful that if it was not going to be Hangman later, and we'll get on to the whole Joker thing, I was hoping that it was him coming out announcing that he was going to be Joker or whatever it was. So that happens. We go to commercial. The crowd starts chanting CM Punk because they came back from commercial, and the crowd's loud, and then Jon Moxley comes up on the screen, and I'm pretty sure I heard some boos because everybody got so pumped for Punk, and now we get a little video of Moxley.
Yeah, we didn't expect that. We're like, oh,
and he gets booed, and then he name drops Philadelphia, and he gets cheered, and then he says his 3-month-old daughter is insane, and he gets cheered more.
Yeah, it's all the parents like, hell yeah, man. I'm pretty sure that was true for me tonight. That's why we're recording so late.
But then we get Punk, and that's again 2 years ago. We get to see. We get to see. I mean, Christian's retired. Daniel Bryan just came back to wrestling. Not that long before it from his retirement. So you're just assuming he's going to retire again soon. One more concussion, he's done.
With WWE,
yeah, one more concussion, he's done wrestling.
Yeah. By the way, I did get this in before anything. He's going to retire with WWE.
Yeah.
Whenever he's done with AEW. Like, he'll do a little bit with WWE and then completely be done.
Yeah.
Once he gets what he needs out of, like, AEW and New Japan. And not in a bad way. It's more like, hey, I want to do all these crazy matches. Like, it helps everyone. Like, you know, sinking ships or floating rivers, whatever the fucking.
Well, he's got the Kurt Angle in him. He'll be back. They'll give him his Hall of Fame ring. He'll be a general manager. Wrestle one last match at WrestleMania.
Lose to Baron Corbin.
Yeah. So we get Punk. He calls cheesesteaks cheesecakes and gets booed. Yeah, it's a common theme of the night is guys getting booed. And then I love seeing Punk on the mic, but my God, was there way better things he could have said to get himself out of it than to ask the crowd, is it cheesesteaks or cheesecakes? Dude, you're gonna get booed at that point, and then say, would you rather cheesesteaks or watch me wrestle? I'm pretty sure
there's a few of us that said
chanted for cheesesteaks.
Yeah,
but now the problem with him not having a script, and I think you've seen it right there, is he tried to be too like, I'm having a conversation with you and getting out of it. And I'm like, I mean, he was going to get cheered anyway, but it's just funny. It's just like you're not doing a good job getting yourself out of this. Don't ask the crowd if it's cheesesteaks or cheesecake.
Not us.
Again, I did my research, and he was talking about Philadelphia cream cheesecake. That's where he got confused.
Which is also delicious.
Yes, that's the only way to have cheesecake. Fuck New York style. Unless that New York style has Philadelphia cream cheese. But so that happens. Orange Cassidy kid is now 20. Yeah, 2 years ago he was 6, and now he's 20.
Dumb tall.
And CM Punk gives
taller than Cody Rhodes, supposed 6'1" on his Wikipedia.
Cody Rhodes, we seen you, Cody Rhodes, at the book thing when we walked in. Yeah, I'm not even 5'9", and I felt like I was taller than him. But then he gives away $1,000 shoes to Orange Cassidy kid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just got on Complex's shoe episode with a. Like I saved it. I saw. I was like, "Is he wearing Jordans?" And I was like, "Well, there's a spoiler for that." I'm gonna watch this episode on Complex now.
And he did his stage dive, which was nice. That Philly was not one of the places that told him he couldn't do it.
Yeah, right to Lou. Right over to Lou.
All right, I will ask you this. I guess we'll stick on the CM Punk thing a little bit. Are you tired of "Thank you for loving me," CM Punk yet?
No.
Okay, I know a lot of people are.
Yeah. I've seen that criticism. I don't, especially when it's like a newer town. Well, not newer, but like a town he hasn't been in for 7 years. No, I'm saying because that promo is not going to be like every town.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess just in general, I think there's an end game. I just think there is. It's weird that in 2 years I have now put my faith in the AEW to think that he's going to turn this eventually, and it's a weird, like, you remember I forget which Jericho return this was, but he would come out. The crowd got nuts because he came back. He didn't say a word. And he just, with the crowd, and he played up to the crowd, wouldn't say a word, and then just went in the back. And he did it for like 2 or 3 weeks until the crowd started booing him. And it was the whole point was he was trying to get the crowd to boo. He was trying to show that he didn't say any words, and he was trying to get the crowd to boo him. I feel like this is like a longer term version of that.
Yeah.
Where I think eventually he's going to have, even if it's not heel, but it's just like this was a part of my plan to take down Kenny Omega in the long run or to get the title or whatever. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's going to get played off of it somehow, somewhere, in some time. But for right now, because I'm expecting that, I'm not bored of it.
No.
I mean, I like seeing it in Philly. I know he has ties to Philly. I'm sure he'll do the same thing next week.
Yeah, there's an awesome Inquirer article that came out about like kind of expanding more on like his story that he mentioned during his promo. Just expounding on that. It's really nice. I'll have to send it to you.
I seen little snippets of it. I didn't see the whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, I know. I guess I didn't realize how much of a connection he had to Philly because I don't think I ever realized ROH was so Philly centric.
Yeah, at one point it was founded here or right outside of Philly. The first like pay-per-view was like right outside.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at that time when Punk was ROH, I was not as much into the indie wrestling.
Yeah,
back then.
I've heard the name. It was like me. Like I heard the name, I just didn't like see anything.
Yeah.
Also, like YouTube wasn't that big where you can just watch episodes. Like it's really easy to go on ROH's YouTube and be like, what matches did CM Punk do? Like, here you go.
Right. But because of the big night and everything, I'd hope for it. And then we get a CM Punk match for later on in the night. He challenges Daniel Garcia, which I guess Rampage has become the Daniel Garcia show too. You feel like you see the same like 4 or 5 people every week on Rampage.
Well, that dude's getting the rub, man. You're telling me right now, that dude, like, he's had an incredible weekend. Have you seen anything on social with him?
But that's what they said. He wrestled Suzuki and Punk like at the same time.
Yeah.
Technically, TV.
Yeah, technically, the same moment. Yeah, that's like him and 2.0, man. They're getting the rub. Yeah. I've seen criticism like, "Wow, why does 2.0 get the rub?" Like, they're freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
and they're good enough workers that like if they're hilarious enough. Like, yeah. My seal of the deal was when Kevin Owens was like, "I love these guys. These guys are hilarious." I'm like, oh, I got you then. If you like them, I like them.
I mean, I guess the biggest problem a lot of people have, I guess, because all these guys, and Daniel Garcia is not, but 2.0 was NXT tag team. It's the whole ex-WWE guys, ex-WWE guys. Oh my God, I can't stand the ex-WWE guys. First of all, they now have 4 shows. Yep. They have to fill up that time with guys. So I don't mind them bringing them in. And as I've said, and this is one thing that I know Jared has complained about a lot. First of all, I want to see the best guys in there. I could care less. This is not a knock. This is not a personal attack on this guy. But if I never seen Joey Janela wrestle again on AEW, I wouldn't care. Don't care. It was cool to see him. Thank you for being at the beginning. Don't care. See it.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, he don't do it for me either way. Don't care. If
he fits more of that GCW mold.
But like if you're telling me that you get to bring in Bray Wyatt and I lose Joey Janela, I'm not going to lose sleep. See ya. Out of here. I can't complain about them bringing in Adam Cole. Can't complain about any of them. And honestly, Bobby Fish is going to get lost in the shuffle. He just is. As long as he don't care, I don't care. Because if he is mid-card, they're doing something right. It's the same thing with Christian. Mm-hmm. Christian had his rub, and he's going to kind of fall to the wayside to be the worker, outwork everybody. He's going to be a mid-card guy.
Yeah. He's got a world title, like it.
I know
he's Impact, but like it still counts. Like
but I mean, not all these guys can come in and get title runs, and the next guy in line is going to be Hangman, and I don't think we lost that from them bringing these guys in. I don't think Adam Cole came here to leave in 2 years. If he don't see a world title for 2, 3, 4 years, I don't think he cares. So I feel like everybody else shouldn't.
No,
in that
I
way,
think he's AEW for the long haul as well.
Yeah, and I see him possibly next TNT champion, unless trios come.
That'd be a cool full circle thing, having the Super Click versus Inner Circle. That's how you finally get rid of the Inner Circle.
Yeah. I don't even remember what my thought was. Oh, it's just the whole bringing these guys in.
Yeah.
You got like Malachi Black. You got Andrade Igalo, which Jared just spouted out a bunch of bullshit while we were sitting in Dynamite. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like Andrade. He doesn't like Chris Statlander. He doesn't like Jay Cargill. He thinks Chris Statlander and Jay Cargill both suck. And I said, they're both like learning. Statlander's biggest problem, her biggest problem, more than anything else, is she got put into a women's division that was so weak that they had to push her to the moon from day one.
Yeah.
Where she didn't get the Jade Cargill treatment. And now she's kind of there. She just is.
Well, it was similar to Britt.
Yeah.
Like, Britt's the next person, Britt's the next person, Britt's the next person. And then it was like, no, she's not. It's like, yeah, you're right. She's not. Not yet. But she will be. I was like, all right, well, I'll wait.
I will say 2 years ago, I said, I don't get it. And I might even have said that on this podcast. I said, I don't get Britt Baker. I don't get it. I didn't get the crowd cheering her. I forget when she wrestled on which one of the Dynamites we went to, and it might have been both the first and the third episode. I don't know, but I didn't get it.
I actually have both up. Yeah, it was ours, the Philly one.
Okay, I didn't
defeated her.
I didn't get it. I didn't think she looked good in the ring, and I will tell you that she has gotten leaps and bounds better. That injury, I think, did a lot for her because it made her interesting on the mic because she was not interesting on the mic. And from the beginning, she was not interesting on the mic. And I think the whole thing with her coming out there with it was a big swole.
Yeah.
With her, I think that
up was nice.
Yeah, I think that helped a lot. I think it helped her develop a character. It definitely benefited her in the long run on the mic, and her wrestling ability's gotten better. And it just, I mean, it's very possible it could just be contributed to having better women's wrestlers around. To kind of bounce off of. I mean, you have now. You think about way back when the women's division just wasn't good as a whole. It just wasn't.
No, there's still a lot of struggling.
Yeah,
like, that's one of their weaker points. When you have like an Impact Wrestling that has like I don't want to shit on Impact too much just because they're whatever, but like their women's division has been known to be like their standout for a very long time. Like they have a good one. NXT has an amazing women's roster. I mean, the big names are on SmackDown and Raw proper, but like you want that raw talent that you get to. Well, I don't know about 2.0, but that raw talent that you get to see, like, kind of build themselves up and like more of a wrestling thing, not necessarily like a character thing. NXT, Impact, and then I would put AEW third.
Where it is today. There.
Yeah, I mean, still, I think they still have room to
back
grow.
Then, I think it was. I mean, you probably could. I will say that the moment I noticed it was weak, and I wasn't a fan of it anyway. I don't get Riho, even to this day. I don't. I think
Josie Wrestling is a very niche section of the wrestling community. It's cool, like Stardom and all is really cool to watch, but it is very niche.
I guess like and again, I don't know the difference in styles, but like like I enjoyed watching Io Shirai wrestle. I love watching Shida wrestle.
Yeah.
And actually Shida is what made me notice how weak that division was. When they started building her up, it showed how bad the rest of the women's roster was. She just was leaps and bounds. First of all, the whole entrance thing with the mirrors and everything, that in itself was cool. Her entrance felt cool. And then, like, she was just out wrestling everybody. Like, it just...
Yeah.
It almost was making them look worse because you didn't... Again, no offense, but... Rio, I felt like was Nyla Rose is Nia Jackson all over the place, and
not anymore. But yes,
no, but I'm saying like at the like that women's like that women's match, that women's title match was big because it was the women's titles match, but it was a botch fest. It just was.
It was just,
and you got Riho, who Nyla Rose could snap like a twig. And I guess that's the difference. As Shida has a little bit more meat to her bones, she looks like she can do things, where Riho looks like you might break her by accident. I don't know. Either way, again, way off. I guess that actually leads me into the next match. Was that the next match? I don't remember. Was the women's next match, or am I skipping
Serena Deeb? I think it might have been.
Or am I skipping right over the whatever that the Darby Allin match?
Well, I think we skipped over the Darby. Actually, I'm pulling up right now.
I don't even remember
Darby and
Nick Camarado, which was just a reason to get Sting out there.
Listen,
34-year-old
Carlos, who's never been able to see Sting live, saw him do the Scorpion Death Drop, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm done.
But okay. I'm going to say again, 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, before we even knew Proud and Powerful was even in AEW. Now, if we were sitting down in our seats from the beginning, we get Proud and Powerful, we get Ty Conti, who was not a member of the AEW roster. You may have gotten a Pinnacle match in there. I don't know. I didn't see Elevation, and if there was a third match, I missed it. Then you get Joey Janela and Crowbar of WCW fame, with Blue Meanie coming out. Then you get Ruby Soho and Emi Sakura. Again, somebody else who is not a member of this roster. Then you get an 8-man tag with Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, and Christian, who were not all members of this roster.
Yep.
Oh, what's supposed to happen? So then next match you get, we just ran down this list anyway, but the next match you get Sammy Guevara, who was, but Bobby Fish, who's a new member of the roster as of that night. CM Punk comes out, who is a new member of the roster. Then you have Darby Allin against Nick Camarado, which everybody came to see Nick Camarado wrestle. But Sting is out there, who was not a member of the roster.
To be fair, we thought he was done completely because of that buckle bomb.
But they're all guys that you're just sitting there like, dude, even in WWE, I would never thought that combination we would have been able to see on a card.
No.
Let alone in about 2 hours worth of wrestling. By that point. So then, we glanced over Darby on Camarada the way it should be, and that's Sting.
Yeah.
So then we go to the women's match, which was amazing. The ending of that match
I was gonna say that was actually my match of the night.
Incredible. Funny thing is, I seen that match, right? And when they said Sheeta could become the first woman to 50 wins, and I'm like, how great would that be for Deeb to win? And not just win.
I didn't think it was going to happen either. I thought I had the same thought. I was like,
not just win, but win. Not like in a squash match, but like decisively win, not by like cheating, like just actually win. And tapping her out is decisively winning in my mind.
And not even like I don't want to say like very commercialized like submission move. Like that legit looked painful.
Yeah.
That like arm hold into like the half Boston Crab with that arch.
And what I'm hoping for out of this is that Sheeta wrestles Serena Deeb constantly.
Yeah, she just keeps losing.
Loses like 3-4 times straight, or like Deeb comes out and costs her matches to the point that she finally gets her 50th win against Deeb. But like, I would love it if you just seen Deeb costing her matches and being like, now she shouldn't be the first one to 50. I should, and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know where she's at in there. That she's probably 20 wins away from it, but like, and then maybe when's Full Gear? That's November, right? You can make that you can make that last for about a month, right? Where she just comes in and costs her 3-4 matches, and she don't have to wrestle that. And then Full Gear, Sheeta finally goes over, and it puts some interest in a non-title women's match. That would be nice, but I mean, in my head, shit like this goes on in my head all the time during these things, and I'm almost never right. So when Deeb won, and I was like, oh my god, they can go with this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, because that's the funny thing, because I was watching, I watched Wrestling with Regret with Brian Zane, and he was like giving his recap. He was like, "Oh, they showed the, we saw it too. It was a live crowd, but they're like, oh, they showed the special trophy they were giving." It was like, "Oh, just so she's losing." I was like, it legit in my head was like, no, she's not losing. She's winning. Like normally, if this was WWE, I was conditioned to be like, oh, you never know, they're gonna lose, and not. This is not a bad knock toward AEW. I saw the award. I was like, oh, she's legit going to win tonight. Yeah. It's still going to be a good match. I didn't expect it to be the match of the night. And I agree with AEW's, quote unquote rankings. Serena Deeb was the wrestler of the night for Dynamite. And that was legit awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it needed to stand out being the anniversary show. And like when I seen it was them, and then they said about the 50th, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. They're going to put on a good match. This is cool. Yeah. Like, I would prefer to see Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker wrestle on the anniversary show, but I get it. It makes sense because they did the same thing with Jungle Boy, right? When he was like the first to 50 wins.
Yes.
He was the first male.
I think that's why I was
Yeah, because they talked about it and he won it on his first shot. So again, the booker in all of us says it happened once, it shouldn't happen the second time. You want to keep us guessing, it shouldn't happen. Yeah. It's like Orange Cassidy winning in that commercial, and they did it on purpose to make people watch the picture-in-picture just to say, hey, it can happen. It's like WWE having a championship change on a house show. Might happen once every 10 years, but hey, it can happen.
It can, yeah. Yes, Diesel will be Bob Lashley.
But like, what should happen is it shouldn't happen every time. It should not be the first time they're promoting it. It shouldn't win, or else it's like, oh, okay, like you're giving it away. But
I'd like to see how Dynamite and Rampage play off of this, because I think you're right. I think this is the start of like a cool, like angry storyline. It keeps not necessarily the quote unquote mid card, but like not all the women can have championships. So now we're going to have 2 set championships. But I like when there's other storylines going that aren't, even for the men as well.
Yeah.
Like I like when there's other storylines going on that aren't necessarily for a title. They're just like, hey, man, we got beef. Like, we're going to keep going back and forth.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that it does branch off in that, because I could definitely see Sheeta trying it again. Deeb costs her a match. Then Deeb comes out for, I don't know, some eliminator for the
The TBS title.
Yeah, there you go. And Sheeta cost her the match, and now you're extending it because now Sheeta just cost her a match, and all this stuff happens, and then Sheeta basically, says, "I want to beat you for my 50th. I'll wait until whenever, whatever it is." Stupid thing. But yeah. So that I'm happy that we're in agreement there, because I think when the card was first put out, I was like, all right, that's, as much as I like Sheeta and Deeb, I was like, that's the time to go get beer, because it's not for a title.
Yeah,
it doesn't have the name that the others does, and to be honest with you, I'd rather listen to CM Punk talk if I was going to go to the bathroom or get a beer, which I don't. But yeah, no, absolutely match of the night by far, not even close, and it was great, and it was done perfectly. And then it led us into this ladder match, which was, it didn't have a lot of time left when it was starting.
It's clocked in at 17 minutes.
Yeah, and
which is good. I felt like a lot happened in those 17 minutes.
Yeah. It felt, I guess, because they were coming out every 2 minutes, it made it feel a little fresh. It extended a couple different feuds with Cassidy and Hardy, and then you got the
and some callbacks.
El Idolo and Pac.
Yeah, some callbacks as well with like Cassidy and Pac starting it off, and then it was almost like Pac being like, "Hey, mutual respect. I'm not gonna beat the crap out of you because you put your hands, but don't put your hands in the pants. Let's do this for real."
Yeah.
And I like that. I was like, "Oh, okay." You got like the angry Cassidy, like, no.
Yeah, I'm almost like Since that match we had, I've seen you can be serious. Like, let's go. We're not gonna go around and do this.
Yeah, I want the other Cassidy. I don't want the sloth. I want you.
So then the Joker is Hangman, which is,
I think we predicted it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I had a 4-man thing. The inner fan of me wanted to be Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt, because I thought I wasn't going to get to see Punk wrestle. I went to see B Punk. It also made sense for it to possibly be Bryan Danielson, because
double duty.
Well, it would have made sense because it gets him another shot at Omega.
Yeah.
Without Omega being able to say no. But
you can't deny me now.
But the most obvious of the choices was a returning Hangman. They've had too many people make debuts. It made sense. It's the 2-year anniversary, so to have an original who has from day one been trying to get that championship, to the point that he lost to Jericho in the very first title tournament, whatever you want to call it. He's been there, he's been close. It furthers the him and Omega. It makes a lot of sense, not just for him to be a Joker, but from the win. I would like for non-Jokers to win some of these things. I feel like the only one that has, as far as I can remember, at least the last bunch, has been Jungle Boy.
That's right. Yeah, because Leo
Rush was it.
Retired and unretired.
Yeah. What, Brian Cage won the last casino ladder match.
And he was a Joker.
Yeah, and he was a Joker. He was a surprise. Then Ruby Soho was the Joker in the women's casino battle royal, and she won. And then now Hangman, even though it was not a surprise debut in that sense, it was still the Joker was a surprise and won.
This is the easiest, and not in a bad way easiest, but like the easiest way to get back to literally where you left off a few months ago.
Yeah, and
it's the most convenient and not in a bad way convenience to get back to that storyline.
And I'm fully hopeful that Hangman goes over at Full Gear, and I say that because the one thing I appreciate from AEW, or at least I would like to appreciate from AEW, because I hope this is the route that they're going, is that every pay-per-view is a big pay-per-view.
Yeah.
We don't need to call All Out their WrestleMania. They don't need a WrestleMania. All 4 of them should be their WrestleMania. And the only way you do that is by having a pay-per-view like Full Gear, which I don't. What's the 4 names? It's Full Gear, Double or Nothing, All Out,
and Revolution.
Revolution. Okay. In a bubble, Full Gear and Revolution don't have the same cachet as All Out and Double or Nothing, and that's because those were the names when that first started. So that's that. Well, what was it? All In, right? I think was the first
All
one.
In was the first show before AEW.
So to get Full Gear to feel that way, you need a big moment, and to have the big moment would be the moment we've all been waiting for, and that's Hangman to be the champion. It's sad to say with all the new additions, I don't know that he's getting a year-long run like everybody else has.
Yeah, fair.
Right? But he just needs the title.
Though that's all that matters.
Yeah, he needs the title, and him beating Kenny for the title is the only way for Kenny to lose it. It just is.
And I truly believe he's not going to be a one-time AEW World Champion.
No, I don't think so either. I think he might have been longer term before all these signings. I think at some point you need to have Danielson and Punk with the title. And
unless they somehow don't want it, but I doubt that.
Yeah, for the title history itself, I feel like they need to have it at some point, even if they're not long-term reigns, and their biological clocks are ticking when it comes in the world of wrestling to the point that Hangman hopefully can become it'll probably be Kenny, the first 2-time champion. But it would be nice, if it wasn't long, but maybe he's the first 2-time champion. But yeah, he's going to be that layover, right? Because he's still pre-30, right? I believe.
I think he's like early.
I'm gonna say 28. I don't know if he was 28 when he started. Then maybe he's 30 now.
He was born in 91, so he's literally is 30.
Okay. As I said, I feel like I remember them saying he was 28 around the beginning of AEW. So that makes sense. 2 years ago. Knock
on wood, no injuries at all. He technically can go for another 20 years.
Yeah, but he will likely be the branch over to MJF and Daniel Garcia if he ends up there long term. Because I don't know, he's not officially signed to AEW. I don't think, right?
No, I don't believe he is. But man, I mean, that dude is already getting that pedigree. I mean,
but like you have those
now soon.
Yeah, you have those guys that are layovers. Because I don't know how old Pac is, but I feel like he at some point is going to win the title. They have so many guys that I figure at some point it's going to win the title. Miro, I feel like, is going to be in the heavyweight title picture at some point, and at some point you have to stop with the year-long runs purely because you just don't have enough time for all these guys to become champion.
As long as not, and is no knock to Miz, hey man, he won. He's 2-time WWE champion. As long as it's not like a one night thing or 1 week thing, right? Because that what was this? He was one night this past reign.
Yeah, I think so.
As long as it's not a one night or 1 month, I think once you get past the 1 month, at least for me, you're fine. This is really what I'm worried about with Big E. Like once it's 1 month, I'm like, all right, you did good for me, man. I'm happy. But don't lose to Brock Lesnar in 5 seconds.
I mean, I don't. There's one idea I've always had for AEW, and I don't want to get fully into it because I actually want to make an episode about this. But there is something I think that could help with championship reigns, and I think it's what they were going for with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And I don't want to go fully into it because again, it defeats all purpose. At some point, we will talk about things that we feel like could be cool in wrestling. Like kind of like the King of the Ring, like that kind of concept, but I won't go too far into it because I don't. But I feel like something like that could help a lot. It's almost like in a sense, like the MLW, I was just watching, and hopefully soon we'll be recording about them. Now that I know I can watch them free on YouTube, it makes it a little bit easier to want to watch it. But Tom Lawler is there.
Oh, yeah.
And he just won. Well, last year won. They're starting again. They have the Opera Cup. But I guess it's kind of the same idea as like the G1, something like that, where you have a yearly reign. Where I feel like AEW could have used the Dynamite Diamond Ring in that way instead of a Battle Royal. But again, I will get off that because I want to have a full episode about it. So, where was I? Okay, so Hangman, right? Obvious choice, wins it. The beauty of AEW, and I know Jer said this to me right away. We popped for Hangman. We expected Hangman because we wanted Hangman. Because Hangman made the most sense there. And if you're going to give us something that's obvious, make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
In the same vein, years ago for a Rumble, we expected Roman to win. We wanted, was it Daniel Bryan that year? I think that was the beginning of us wanting Daniel Bryan.
Yes, and he was in that, which is weird because it's never happened before. Normally it doesn't matter. But he had a match with Bray Wyatt earlier that night. So everyone assumed that Bray and Daniel Bryan were going to be in the match. Neither of them were, I believe, in that Royal Rumble. Because
was that the one in Philly? I feel like I remember watching that on TV because Rey Mysterio comes out 30 and everybody booed the shit out of him.
I believe, I think so, because that's when The Rock came out. And even The Rock couldn't.
Well, I do. Well, see, and I will say that was the beginning of Rusev Day because people hated Rusev and we cheered the shit out of Rusev because we want to see something different. And that's, I guess that's where that's where it's so weird because you paint this as it was obvious when Reigns was going to win. We said, no, fuck you, because we didn't want Reigns.
No.
They told us
ready.
They told us we wanted Reigns. And we said no. The equivalent of that happening would have been Cody Rhodes coming out as the Joker and winning. He would have gotten booed.
Right.
Why? Because we're booing him now. Because, and I don't say we. I don't have an issue with Cody Rhodes.
No.
I would not boo him the way the crowd is. I don't like his shtick. It's not for me. It's not for most people. He has a very lamer John Cena way to him, so it kind of sucks. I think the biggest problem is everybody knows that Cody has more pull than any of the other EVPs. He's working his fucking asshole for it. Yeah. I'll give you that much. He's working his asshole for it.
Yeah, and he does a lot of media more so than the other guys.
It's the equivalent of The Miz in WWE. If he were to come out constantly and pick fights with the new up-and-comers that we've been cheering for, and, and then he wins in the end every time. Yeah, and you're like,
this will be an interesting topic for maybe like another episode, because we always play off like Cody trying to bring up talent versus CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. So all three of them have like the same intentions, but it's all executed wrong. like there's two of them are doing it right. One is obviously doing it wrong. Because where's Anthony Ogogo?
Yeah. Now I actually like that, so I will say yeah, and now we definitely can find some way to manipulate that into an episode, because I have a lot of feelings on that. So Hangman wins. We have we
drink beer.
10-minute, 15-minute break while they change the ring. And then we have Rampage, which starts off with CM Punk and Daniel Garcia, which was a good match. I think it lacked a live crowd because now we've been there for 3+ hours.
Yeah.
And then we had a little bit of a break there and Hangman had just won, so it kind of took a lot out of everybody.
Yeah, and that's no knock to AEW. We did have previously in that 10-minute span was like Tony Khan trying to hype us up.
Yeah,
and it's not bad. I mean, literally, Rampage was really good as well. It was just, man, it's not even nobody's fault. It was just we were so tired. I think.
Yeah.
I think we picked back up during Lucha Brothers, which we'll talk about right after.
Yeah. I guess it's a very smaller scale, but it's the equivalent of we just sat through WrestleMania. We just watched Daniel Bryan beat Batista and Randy Orton and everybody. And then 10 minutes later, they say, all right, we're going to start the Royal Rumble match. And you're like, what? Yeah. I wanted to see the Royal Rumble match. Not after I just got emotionally drained from watching Daniel Bryan. So it was the equivalent of that. And I get, you have CM Punk start off the show. You know, it makes sense. You bounce it off that.
The crowd as well.
Yeah.
Like it helped us a little bit.
I felt like, and not because of the chant that came out of it, but I felt like if you started with the Acclaimed and Lucha Bros, the crowd's a little bit more lively for Punk. I felt like that match would have brought the crowd back a little bit, but I understand they usually start Rampage with more of a singles banger a little bit. And no offense to the Acclaim, but Daniel Garcia, and Punk himself is bigger than the Acclaimed against Lucha Bros. Just is. So we have that match. Punk wins. You know, he's just burying talent.
Yeah. Just pulling the Cody Rhodes left.
No, he's just coming and just beating everybody. What the hell? All these young guys stopping all their momentum. So we. Oh, the weirdest thing was we got Mark Henry twice tonight. We got Mark Henry for the Daniel Garcia. He started the show, but they said we can't sit you at the desk anymore because between him and Jericho, it's awful. It just is. Mark Henry's so bland.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I don't know that he's bland. First of all, I think he's a little corny, like just in his jokes. Like he's like
he
bad dad jokes. Like it's not funny dad jokes. It's like bad dad jokes. But his voice lulls you to sleep. So not only is he not not only is he not funny when he's trying to be and says random shit in the middle of people's sentences, but now it's this voice that's just like
he
needs
to work on that a little more.
Like you sound like Randy Orton trying to read all Vince's promos. Like it's too like robotic when he says it.
Yeah.
And then you got Jericho singing into the microphone while he's talking. So he's screaming while Mark Henry's falling asleep. It was just bad combo. But so we get Mark Henry introducing him for the beginning of the night, which I'm assuming that is his job for the rest of his AEW career is to be the guy in the first match and the guy saying here in the main event. He shouldn't even ask questions. He should just sit there with the microphone in his hand and say, now it's time for the main event after the guys get done talking. So for match of the night, hold on. I completely missed this. I'm so upset at myself. Orange Cassidy comes out in the ladder match in Dynamite with but I can't even call them the best friends. Part of the best friends and Yuta Wheeler. He just seems so out of place with the best friends. He just does.
He's so funny on BTE when they make fun of him for that too.
He's so out of place with the best friends. And Chris Statlander even made sense when they added her because of the whole weird boot nose thing.
Alien.
But like she weirdly fit in with them. Yuta Wheeler does not. So they come out with Sixers jerseys on, which gotta absolutely love it. Chucky T representing comes out with Matisse Thybulle, which was amazing. I noticed that right away, number 22.
Yeah.
And then they bring out Franklin to a crowd pop, but I was happier about the Matisse Thybulle
with the
uniform.
Does not even mention that Franklin came out with a Sixers championship belt.
Yeah, which I was hoping they would sell on the way out. They did not.
No.
That's
how we don't make the Uber. Like, we're walking, guys. I spent all my money on this.
So now we are at this tag team match, right?
Yeah.
And the Acclaim comes out. And I said from the beginning of the night, I said, if I do not get the Acclaimed or who else did I say?
MJF.
MJF. If we do not get one of them two bringing up Ben Simmons, I'm going to be upset. You just have to, but probably both of them. Now, Joey Janela brought up Ben Simmons at Dark Elevation, but again, it's Dark Elevation. So now we got the Acclaim come out. Mass Caster mentions Ben Simmons. The crowd boos. The weird thing is, I'm pretty sure he said like a nice thing. Like,
I think it was
like he was like I'm going to send him packing like Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
and it was like, well, we want to send him packing. That's a good thing.
That's the point.
And then he called Rocky Balboa fake ass champ, and people were still mad about the Ben Simmons comment.
He was like, "Hold on, go back."
So this match happens, and I gotta be honest with you, I don't even remember the match.
No, I remember the match. It was really good.
The match was good, but I was so entertained by the fact that fuck Ben Simmons, not once, not twice, but at least 3 times. Twice was long as hell, but 3 times we got a fuck Ben Simmons chant. And one time it lasted for, I want to say, good 2 to 3 minutes straight.
Yeah.
we
bombarded like everything.
It kept going, and it was great. And I was having a time of my life, and that was the only chant that I joined with, and it was amazing. I think I might have sang CM Punk's music. That might have been the only other thing. But so that happens.
At this point, I have no voice.
Yeah. I did not chant very much. I was saving it for the fuck Ben Simmons chant, which happened, and it was amazing, and it was incredible, and it was the best chant that I've ever been a part of, and I loved it. And it got loud, and it made me laugh, and it livened the night up because I felt like it livened a lot of people's nights up.
Yeah.
Because I felt like the dead fish, not Bobby, that were there left after Punk's match. There was
that woman who was singing. Yeah, she was there.
Well, I would say
she got
now we said 75% of the place was full as far as what could be sold. I'd say good 10% of that left after Punk's match.
Yeah,
everybody just got up and left. And I remember Jerry asked me, he said, "I thought you said this is an hour." I said, "It is." He said, "Why is everybody leaving?" I said, "Because it is."
Because we are tired.
At this point, it's 10:30 at night, maybe even later, because of the break in between Dynamite and when they started. And most of the people said, "Okay, I got to watch Punk wrestle. I don't give a fuck about the rest of the night." So, so that was exciting.
Wrong.
Yeah, they missed fuck Ben Simmons. So I said they better not take that out of the show, and they did.
Yeah,
and they did, and I'm upset about it. And Tony Khan, I still have a bone to pick with you. We got issues, sir. What you need to do to make this right, and I will start a petition. I don't know where I gotta go. I will make a petition, and I will get people to sign it. I want the unedited version on YouTube of fuck Ben Simmons. Fine, you can't put it on TNT. I get it. You should have bleeped it out, the fuck part, and had Ben Simmons.
Can you imagine?
Because I'm pretty sure at one point during that match, I did watch it just for that. I didn't watch any other matches on Dynamite or Rampage. I went and I watched Rampage just for that match.
Well, you called it. You thought it was going to happen.
Yeah. And there was a "This is awesome" chant that did not happen in that match. That I'm pretty sure was one of the fuck Ben Simmons. And then I think they just completely wiped out the other one. But I don't remember a "This is awesome" early in that match. I do remember a fuck Ben Simmons early in that match. Yeah. Because if you rewatch it, there's like a "This is awesome" like in like the first couple minutes of the match. And I'm like, I don't.
Matches had that, but
it was not that tag team match.
No.
Because then there's a Lucha Bros chant later that I'm pretty sure that did happen. So I feel like they covered the one up with.
I will say, I don't know how you.
This is awesome.
I don't know how you felt about this, but like I felt like the crowd was hot for Lucha Brothers.
Yeah.
I thought it was just gonna be me, honestly. Like,
now, I mean, Danny. I will say this, and Walton kind of killed me for this when we did it, but one of our past episodes, and I don't know how many of them you actually listened to way back when we were actually doing a weekly show. We did who we thought would be max contract players in wrestling. And my last one was Penta. And he did not, he was like, really? I said, yeah. And at that time, I think he was fresh off of Impact, being their champion. And I got to see a little bit more of him as a singles wrestler. And I said, all right, he can't talk. Fine. But like his body type and his moveset lends me to like, I want to see this guy wrestle. And what I found funny is when AEW started, I felt like a lot of the shine was on Ray Phoenix. Where JR always pumped up Ray Phoenix as being the next big thing. He had a couple singles matches where really you didn't see early on. You didn't see Penta in any singles matches. It was more Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, he wrestled with Kenny a couple times.
Yeah, and I think I think he's who Kenny won the AAA championship off of, right? Was Ray Phoenix?
Yes, I believe so.
So I mean I know he was, and Ray Phoenix in my mind is, it's like Ricochet. He does crazy things in the ring. I don't think he is world champion material. I do think Penta is. But I enjoy watching them wrestle as a tag team. And they were ones.
He beat Phoenix. Yeah.
And they were ones from day one that I thought should have been the first AEW champions.
Yeah.
So when they kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit, and then they got teamed up with Pac, it only made me hope for trios titles because I thought they should have had titles a long time ago.
I don't know.
So.
That's an interesting thing to think about with at least that as well. Like how long of a gap do we get between TBS to, trios titles now?
Yeah. We might have to wait till the next anniversary, maybe. And that's if it even happens. Maybe we're all just overthinking it, that they keep putting 3-man teams together for no reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I love Lucha Bros. They are one of my favorite things about AEW from the beginning, and they still are. So that I was excited to get to see them wrestle.
Yeah, that was my match of the night for Rampage. Was them?
Yeah, and the worst part, and again, I remember the chant more than I do the match. But that's because the chant was just amazing. And then my match of the night, Jade Cargill against Sky Blue, which
it was a squash match. It really was.
But that was what it was. It was a squash match.
Hey, listen, Sky Blue got some offense. She did more in that match than Kofi did against Brock Lesnar.
So at that point, because actually, I'm just ignoring the Jade Cargill match.
Yeah.
So at that point, earlier in the night, we had seen it claimed, but we couldn't hear it. Like they didn't.
Yeah. For
whatever reason, we couldn't hear it. And I asked my brother, what did they say? And he said they challenged the Lucha Bros. And I was like, oh, really? That's awesome. He said, for a Rampage. I said, for our Rampage? He said, I don't know, a Rampage. I'm like, that's great. The fuck? Because at that point, we didn't know what was happening at Rampage. I think Punk had already come out and challenged
Garcia for
Garcia.
Rampage,
and I think they already said Jade Cargill was happening. It's like, all right, these are the 3 matches. So then the whole fucking Ricky Starks came out on Dynamite and completely glanced over this. And he basically says, if Brian Cage was here, I was going to challenge him to Philly Street Fight. He didn't come here. So Brian Cage comes out full gear.
Storyline that needs to die.
Yeah. So Brian Cage comes out full gear, and you're like, oh, shit, we're going to get this tonight. I was like, fuck. Because now I'm thinking we're not getting a tag team title match. I'm thinking they said a Rampage, not the Rampage.
Yeah.
Like the next one. So then that's when I seen 4, and I'm like, wait, what? How are we getting 4 matches in an hour show? So this leads into a long-winded way of saying we got our Philly Street Fight.
Yeah.
Which it was, except for the fact that everything I just said about AEW turned into WWE by just booking this match, let alone ending it the way they did.
It feels like a Raw. That's what it feels like where you watch these matches over and over and over again. It's like, listen, and this is no offense to Ricky Stark. This is no offense to Team Taz. This is no offense to Brian Cage. They just need to get away from each other because it's too much at this point.
And now I don't know who's in control of some of the storylines, but I have like this weird feeling that like Arn Anderson is in control with this. He was with WWE for way too fucking long, and
like,
he's
the one pot.
Oh my god, this is the main storyline on the show. He's pushing the fuck out of us seeing the same match that ends the same way over and over and over.
Because Cage is looking like an idiot. Wise, I think he's getting beat.
I'm literally sitting there.
No friends. You got no friends at all.
I'm talking to Jared, and I said, I want to get excited for this match. I love Ricky Starks. Earlier in the night,
that dude's got star power.
Not earlier in the night. Last week, the week prior, MJF talked about the 4 pillars of AEW, and he talked about him, the 4 future pillars. Are you going to say him, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and
Ricky, right?
No,
it was somebody else.
Him, Ricky Starks, or no, God, I just said Ricky Starks. Him, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy. Cool, God. Jungle Boy. Yeah. And in a way, it's true because they started from day one. They were there, but in reality, I mean, in my mind, you look at it right now, and the pillars are Jungle Boy, MJF, Ricky Starks, Daniel Garcia. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I think those are the future, and it's no knock on Darby Allin. I think Darby Allin is what he is, but he's Orange Cassidy. He is a fan favorite. He's never going to be their champion. He's never going to be their face. He's TNT title at best. Maybe a tag team run with Sting to get a belt on Sting.
I think I respectfully disagree because I think he's going to be world champion one day. I don't know how long that title reign is going to be, but Jeff Hardy, to make that comparison, because he's like a modern day Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was world champion multiple times at WWE, and it was done pretty well.
Yeah, I don't see them having short reigns like WWE did, though.
Yes.
And so if you're and that's what, like, I could see him winning the TNT title multiple times. Like I said, I could see him having a tag title reign with Sting to get a title on Sting for a while. I just don't see him being world champion. And honestly, I don't see Samuel Guevara. I think the reason why they both have had the TNT title is because that's where they are and that's where they see him and that's where they're going. MJF probably will never be TNT champion because he will be world champion. Jungle Boy will probably never be TNT champion because he will be a world champion there. I think Daniel Garcia has a future world champion if he's there long term.
Oh, yeah.
And Ricky Starks, I think, might be the only guy out of them that you might see win both. I could see him as TNT and then becoming a world champion eventually.
I would not be shocked if he's like their first Grand Slam.
Yeah. Like, now I think
everything.
I think he has that about him.
He's just like, he oozes charisma. Like, the dude is so talented in every aspect of wrestling.
Prior to Jim Cornette Gate, when NWA Power was on YouTube, and I was watching that when it first started, he stood out like a sore thumb in the best way. He just did. I mean, Eddie Kingston on the mic was great for that. And I love Aaron Stevens.
So funny.
Damien Sandow, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, Damien Sandow, he's great. But like, from day one, I did not know who Ricky Starks was, but he made me want to find out who he was.
Yeah.
He has a very shorter, skinnier Rock vibe to him.
Oh yeah, like early Rocky Maivia.
Yeah, he has that.
There's a lot of similarities you could put between the two. You know?
Yeah, he oozes charisma Like to the point that they're already putting him, and I know he only did it once, but I don't think it's the only time. They're already putting him in play-by-play. I mean, think about this.
No, the rumor is he's going to be the permanent person.
I know he said that, but then I don't think he's done it since. And it might have been storyline based. It might not have been. But even if he does it once a month, think about who they've had there. It's been Punk and Jericho, and now Ricky Starks. Like Ricky Starks has not. He has not developed himself enough. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't. He's not at that point of his career where you're like, okay, we could trust him on the mic to be in the play-by-play, and he's there. So I think he has a huge future. I think him and Jungle Boy feud for the title in the next 5 years. I'm looking forward to probably even more than MJF. And it's hard for me to say it because I love MJF and I think he's the future of AEW, but it's hard for me not to say Ricky Starks isn't too.
Well, it's funny too how you can see the EVPs, like their vision of what they want for the future of this wrestling company. Because I mean, you see, like from jump, I think a lot of us assumed Hangman was going to be in a higher position since he was part of the elite.
Right.
You know, like in like legit, like we're not talking like this super group. We're talking about like New Japan stuff. Like he was with them from jump. They took him in, and he was young enough that it felt like he was going to be the guy. And I like that they slowly built that up. Darby, I feel like Cody had his eyes on him. Same as Ricky Starks. Like he's definitely Ricky Starks. You can see him. He's on Road to the Top or whatever. Right. All the time, and I think he like lived with Brandy and Cody for a while. But Ricky's like that guy, I think, for Cody. Like he had an eye on him, and MJF as well. Like Cody was like, no, these are the guys. They're gonna be the ones who do stuff. And then the Young Bucks had Jungle Boy because they knew from PWG and all. They're like, no, this is a guy we're gonna back our horse on. Like everyone has someone they're backing their horse on. I'm assuming you can make I'm probably Kenny with Hangman. Like everyone has somebody they're like, we're gonna push these guys. These are our four for a reason.
Yeah,
because that's who we believe in.
Yeah, I guess I'm not even thinking Hangman just because he's now
he's
old.
In a
he's
higher
30
tier already. Yeah. As you mentioned, your version of the Pillar, you took out Sammy and Darby, but there's also the people who have already won championships out of who was named out of that Pillar. So. Yeah, who comes in as the next support pillars for that? Who takes over? Yeah. Because now we have MJF without a belt, that doesn't necessarily seal the deal, but he's without a belt. And then who did you mention? Jungle Boy, right? Yeah, they're the obvious world champs. You're right. I think Darby's gonna win that belt. I agree. The detriment is like I don't know what they're like. They don't do short term championships. Yeah, and that's why I would see him like a 3-month.
Yeah, and maybe he's the first short-term champion, just to get the title on him.
Because that dude's a merch seller. I mean, the fact that I saw like I want to say 6 or 7-year-old kid with his face painted like Darby, and him and his little brother had Darby shirts on. I was like, oh yeah, dude, you're, and I guess I hate to make the comparison because what Darby's doing is special and different than what Jeff did. And like they're two separate people, but he's got that Jeff Hardy thing about him.
You know what? Already, I'm gonna flip flop, and he will win the world championship. I'm thinking about it. I'm taking he doesn't need the title to sell merchandise, but I also feel like Tony Khan and AEW will give him the title because of what he's done for them, kind of thing. It might not be a long reign. It's kind of like Orange Cassidy. I kept saying he's not going to win a title, and he probably will at one point. He'll get his WrestleMania moment in AEW where he finally wins and the crowd will go nuts, and then he'll give up the title. He'll do something very Orange Cassidy. Cassidy is like, I don't care.
Or lose it like Zack Ryder the next night.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy's probably the only one that I could see having a one-day run in AEW and it making sense. Like, oh, okay. Okay, it was Orange Cassidy. It was a way to get the title on him. We don't want to see a long-term Orange Cassidy title run. What is cool? But what's cool when you see it every once in a while, you don't want to see it that often. I don't want to see him out there with the title, like, not caring. Yeah. Either way. Yeah. So we get that really branched off weird because we were talking about the Philly street fight. I know Ricky Starks went full circle there.
Ricky Starks won.
Basically, I said it sucks because everything that's right about AEW is wrong about this storyline.
Yeah.
And I said it's a street fight. Oh, that's crazy. Ricky Starks came down by himself. No Hobbs. No Hook. Oh, wow. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if Brian Cage is going to be winning. They're going to come out, and guess what? They came out, and Brian Cage, he fended them off, and Ricky Starks didn't win. Oh, maybe he's going to do no. It's been the same thing. Hobbs beat Cage the same way that Ricky Starks is beating Cage now, and it's the long term of I don't care. I really don't care. They haven't made us care about it in no way, shape, or form. And this has nothing to do about him or his wife saying that he's being underutilized or anything like that. I didn't care before they said it, and I care less now. I don't care. I don't care if Brian Cage gets one over on him. It does not bother me one way or the other.
Built him up. Yeah.
He's not. I cared less. I mean, I cared less than if MJF beat Jericho and sent Jericho into retirement for 2 months. Like, I don't care. I don't care at all.
I thought it was going to happen, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to win.
I was hopeful. Yeah. And then MJF could say that Jericho's never beat me. But, like, I just don't care. If Brian Cage wins eventually, I don't care. I really don't care if he wins eventually.
Yeah, that's the problem.
He's going to win the FTW title. Why? It's dumb. I don't care. What are you going to do? Hold it hostage so for 3 more months they keep wrestling you and you keep beating them now? Like, I don't want this to go any further than where it is right now.
Yeah, I already want Ricky Starks to branch out and be like, hey, man, just do your own thing, please.
Hey, I'm always like...
Go after this TNT title.
You know what I'm really hopeful for out of this? And the only thing that can kind of be hopeful is Cage beats Starks with the help of Taz, Hook, and Hobbs. And now Starks is on the outs and gets away from fucking Team Taz.
I'm not even dealing with y'all. I'm done.
And Cage is right back where he belonged, and that's with a mouthpiece as the main guy of that group. Because that's what should have happened from the beginning. Ricky Starks should have been the guy that got turned on, and they should have said he thought he was bigger than them. And the only payoff that we really can get out of this is the old double turn for no reason that Taz now turns on Ricky Starks and gives the title back to Cage. That's the only thing that can come out of this. I honestly don't know.
He gives it the Hook.
But that's what, like, I eventually see something happening where Starks gets cut out because they want Hobbs to be the guy. But, like, the only way that this benefits them at all of this whole Cage still fighting them is for Cage to come back into the group. Because I just don't see any other way around this.
This feels similar to the Hurt Business. It's like, why break them apart? Why do all this stuff when you just, like, it makes more sense just to keep, like, somehow explain that he's back in the group.
Yeah, I just him apologizing to Taz. Like, I don't know. I mean, I could see a long term of Cage just losing, and then coming back and saying, "You were right, Taz. I need it." But even then, it's like, why are you having him wrestle Ricky Starks over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Winning the same way. Why have we not turned this into a cage match by now? Like, it's too far gone. Just wipe it from memory. Just tell us it was a bad dream. I
too
don't know.
much, man. It really
know.
is though. It's like you're not sullying, but you're like you're chipping away at both of them too much. Like, hey, yeah, they get shown on Rampage and Dynamite, but like, dude, you guys deserve better. Team Taz could still be a thing. It doesn't like they could just wrestle somebody else, anybody else.
Yeah, it's so
like they wrestled
weird.
Darby, and then after Darby, it's like just Brian Cage, nobody else.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
I thought when they were going after Punk, I thought that was like, all right, finally, this is good. We'll build this storyline for a little bit. Like, that'll be fun.
And maybe you should have had Cage come out and help Punk, and then now Punk came out and helped Cage, and it's some weird friendship between Punk and Cage, and it just I don't get it. It's one of the few spots, and even the whole Cody thing. I love how they had Malachi Black going after the whole family and stuff like that, and the weirdness of the Nightmare Factory and the fucking them branching off. It was a C-level storyline, but it was okay. It was making sense. The Go-Go and Cody Rhodes thing, it was making sense. This doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
There's no way, shape, or form that you can explain this feud to me and why it's still going on. Brian Cage is continuing this feud. Why? What is he getting out of this that he wants to keep going after them? Months later, they kicked them out. Move the fuck on. What the hell do you want Taz's title? Yeah, like what the hell do you want Taz's title for? You are gaining nothing by continuing to go after them. You're just gaining nothing. Just randomly, once every 3 weeks, you show up and attack them. Like
and
what?
Beat.
Yeah, I don't get it. It doesn't make it. You can't make sense of it to me. And I wish that they would have beat the fuck out of Brian Cage and kept him off TV for 2 months, and then he came out and wrestled somebody different. But that match did not end in any way, shape, or form that made me think that this feud's over.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I don't get it. But
I agree with you.
What I will say is it was a disappointing end to the night because that was a shitty end to the night. They should have ended it with Punk and Garcia because that was a really shitty end. Adding Philly Street Fight to a shitty storyline and a shitty match does not mean the crowd's going to cheer for it. It just doesn't. And that's what I felt like they did.
At that point, too. It's like, we're tired. We don't want this match.
I'm just curious.
They did all right in the match itself. Yeah. They properly executed it. It's just like everyone deserves better at this point.
I'm just curious who's going to wrestle in a Philly Street Fight next year. Because they've ended now the last 2 Philly Liacouras Center shows with Philly Street Fight.
It's like it just happens now. Ooh, you know what? Let's do a women's.
There you go.
Ruby Soho versus, I'm going to call it Ruby Soho versus Sheeta or Deeb. Philly Street Fight.
Year from now, Tessa Blanchard against.
That's another topic. That nuclear shirt.
But on that note, do you have any other things to say? Because this felt longer than the show did.
It did. It was a good recap. No, it was fun. It was really cool hanging out with y'all and going out to the show. It was like my first real outing.
Yeah.
COVID era. So that was fun just to finally get out the house. No, I mean that's it. Man.
No. Yeah.
I felt what happens this week.
I felt like we covered everything. Yeah. I mean, trust us when I say this. Our next episode will not be about AEW for those of you haters out there.
Yeah. We will talk about something else.
Yes, I already have at least one topic in mind.
Somebody from the Anoa'i family will be involved, though. All right. That's all them. They procreate like crazy.
But we gotta get percolating on some topics here. But yeah, I got something I'd like to talk about. Hopefully we can get Walton to make his big Joker return.
And get him cowboy chaps.
He was supposed to be here, but we actually recorded way later than his bedtime. So
5 a.m. is gonna come up really quick again.
Yeah. So on that note, if you don't have anything, Now I don't have anything, and we are creeping up on 2 hours right now because I use a stopwatch this time.
Yeah.
I will say this. We will see you when we see you.